And today's going to be a really great session because it's going to be not just about Stayify, it's going to be 5 things you can do today to increase direct bookings. Some obviously involve Stayify, some totally outside of what Stayify does. So hopefully there is something you can take from today's presentation and apply it to your business to start making a difference right away. And some of these things can make a difference rather quickly if you just check and optimize them. So really exciting to share some of those tips and tricks that we found with some of our top performing direct booking customers. So a lot of these things are things that are, customers who are getting 70, 80, 90% of their bookings directly are doing with their business. So I just want to share those with all of you so you can apply them to what you guys are doing. And then, as always, this video is recorded and then will be posted on Stayify's YouTube channel, which I definitely recommend that you subscribe to. And then you can also find all of our previous marketing mastery sessions there as well. So today there's going to be really 5 areas we're going to talk about. Number one is optimizing guest data collection in Stayify. So just making sure that you are getting the most out of the Stayify product, not just using the Wi-Fi to collect data, but also some of our other tools to help you collect as much guest data that you can market to as possible. Second will be billboarding effect. So essentially how you can leverage your OTA listings to drive more traffic to your direct website. This is definitely one of the top ones that you can implement right away in your business. Integrating your brand into the guest journey. So share some different ways outside of Stayify to make sure all of the guests, not just the booker, are seeing your brand frequently enough that they know if they want to come back or they want to recommend your listing to somebody else, that they remember who you are and they're not just sending them to your Airbnb, Vrbo, or booking listing. Obviously, automating remarketing campaigns is a huge one. This is more to do with Stayify, but just making sure that everybody who stays with you is getting marketing messaging, regardless of whether you're sending regular newsletters, which obviously you should be doing as well. And then finally, really making it clear what your value prop is versus OTAs. So not just that you can book directly with you, but why should a guest book directly with you? And making sure you are nailing that over and over again really clearly with your target audience. So first piece here is optimizing your guest data collection. If you're using Stayify's Wi-Fi marketing product, these are the things I'd recommend you do ASAP. Number one, make sure you are collecting data in all of your properties. So make sure that your access points or your Stayify Express are online for all of your properties, and you can set up outage alertings in our platform as well. So you will know if any of your access points or Stayify Express go offline. And also make sure your Wi-Fi instructions are accurate and updated. We do see sometimes that people have their Stayify devices online at a property, but they aren't collecting data there. And that's because if you're using the unified devices, so the access points, that there are still old instructions in that property, whether they're physical instructions, digital instructions, somewhere someone is finding those previous Wi-Fi credentials for the home's internet that was there before you added Stayify. And obviously, if guests are joining that, they're not going to get the captive portal. Now, it is different if you're using our Stayify Express device that goes along with Decos or Eros, because in that case, you are still leveraging your Deco and Eero networks. So with those, the instructions stay the same as they were previously, other than adding, of course, that you fill out the splash page. But if you're using the unified devices, there is a separate network that the guests will be joining. And then finally, looking and checking your splash pages that they are presenting your brand well. So is the image in your splash page high res enough? I've seen some scary images in splash pages where people loaded very low res images that just don't look that professional. Making sure your logo is showing up correctly, that you're using like a PNG file, that's not just an awkward white space with a logo that's missized. And I'll just show you right now quickly in the Stayify platform how you can find all of these things. So if you go to access points, you will see the access points for your properties. And up here, you will find offline alerts. So here you can enable alerts and you can decide how long you would like the devices to be offline before you're alerted. And then also how long until they're online again before we send you an alert. Unfortunately, there are a lot of internet service providers where there just are small outages all the time. And I know people who have this set at 15 minutes who are just annoyed because they're getting a lot of offline alerts that have nothing to do with StayFi and nothing to do, unfortunately, with like the Wi-Fi experience we're providing. It's just that some places don't have great internet service. And so they're getting a lot of offline alerts. So I typically recommend that you kind of push the threshold a little longer because you really just want to know, like, is the internet offline? Because a guest has unplugged the system and we need to make sure that we plug the internet back in before new guests arrive. So short thresholds can just trigger a lot of offline alerts, which is why we give you the different options. Also, any user on your account can be added as an alert recipient. So depending on who is managing your properties, you may want to alert people that are not yourself, and you can select who those are. Unfortunately, we don't let you change the alerts by property. I know people ask for that. In the future, hopefully, we'll have that. Right now, we alert whoever you select there. And then obviously, you can see the status here. And then there is this uptime history page where we'll show you a longer period of data. So you can see over a longer period of data the history of the device being online or offline. Now, how do you check your splash pages? Well, if you go to guest experience and you go to either bulk edit splash, if you go to bulk edit splash pages, you can see these are all of your splash pages, and then these are all of the images here. Now, when you set up your template, you pick a kind of default image, but you can always override that image with a new one where you can unselect this and then click to upload. Then you can always check by clicking this button. What does it look like on mobile? What does it look like on desktop? Great, this picture works really well. Um, so very easy to go ahead and do that. There are, I believe, if I actually go to edit splash page here, there are some additional options you can get on like the property by property splash page editor. So things like you can change the background image darkness. So sometimes you have a great picture, but like the white text is not showing up there because the image is so light. You can change, you can kind of have use this filter if you need to darken the image a little bit to make the white text more legible. Of course, you can also flip the text color to a different color and then do it the other way too, right? And then all of these things are imported from your template. So we have like welcome to property name, welcome to like this body text comes from the template. And of course, when you edit individual splash pages, you can always remove the template text and add unique text that you would like. And then of course, we also are importing the logo. I'll show you as well the template editor because that's where you can adjust the logo size. So if I go to splash page template, this is where you set all that default stuff and you have the default background image. And then here you can have the logo and you can also adjust the logo scale. And you can also change the background to be either transparent or all white. So you can see here this kind of fake logo we made is in a PNG file. So it has this ugly white background. If you have a white background in your logo, you can always make it white so it just looks more crisp and professional. So you can adjust kind of that logo sizing and settings all here to make sure your brand looks good. There is a question about ratio. No, you can upload whatever you like and then go test it. Go look at the splash page viewer here, and you can, if you go to the bulk editor, I recommend looking at it in mobile and desktop to make sure it's like represented well in both of these sizes. Oh, and the last thing is Wi-Fi instructions. So there are some changes coming to this page, but this is kind of how the current page looks like. On here, this is where we set your Wi-Fi name for your Unify devices only. So when you use StayFi Express, the Wi-Fi name is controlled by your Deco or your Amazon Eero in the app's settings. So the only time that we're broadcasting wireless networks is when you have the Unify StayFi kind of white discs. And here you can edit the guest networks. This is the one that will be using the splash page. And you can set the name of the network as well as whether you want a password or not. Password is just like a normal password. And you always want to make sure that if you're using StayFi Unify devices, the white discs, that you are providing guests this network name and this password, and not the old network name and password, which is probably still running in the house from the owners or your original Wi-Fi system. So that's just really important that we don't provide that anymore because you will find that you're not getting guest data. You can see here another good clue is if you go to your dashboard, we have this properties and guest collection section, and you can look at your properties like in the last 30 days, and you'll see which ones have guest data collected and which ones don't. The ones that don't likely are the ones where you're not giving the correct Wi-Fi instructions. So that can be a good way to gut check whether you are collecting data in all the properties where your StayFi devices are online. Next one is our pre-arrival tool. So we have Wi-Fi data collection, but we also have a tool that can send a form to the booker prior to the stay for them to provide their email and consent there. My general recommendation is to leverage this tool as well if you don't collect this data another way, because for our customers that use pre-arrival data collection and Wi-Fi data collection, at the end of the day, they net out more total unique emails with opt-in than if you use either one alone. And obviously, if you just use the pre-arrival tool, you're going to collect a lot less data. So on average, with Wi-Fi, we collect 80+% of the guest data from all people in the property. With pre-arrival, it's like 5 to 10%. That's obviously a lot better than zero. And there are circumstances where the pre-arrival tool is your only option. So if you operate, let's say, condos in a building where they have a building-wide Wi-Fi network that you can't touch, there's no routers in the unit, right? This may be the only way to collect data. We also have customers that have very large homes with 5, 10, 15, 20 guests, and then they operate some condos that only sleep one or two people. They decided that Wi-Fi tool, not an investment we need to make in the, condo that has two people in it on average because we're only having two people there. So they're using pre-arrival everywhere, Wi-Fi in the large properties, and that way they're just really optimizing like, hey, where we have a lot of guests, we're going to use Wi-Fi, and then we only have one or two people. Let's just use pre-arrival because we really just want to get that booker information anyways. So the way this works is prior to the stay, we will send a message through your PMS to the booker where they then can go to a form to add their information, and then they're taken to your homepage that you set up in StayFi. Also very easy to set up. Under pre-arrival messaging, we have basically instructions for how to set this up. We have two options, one of which isn't available for all PMS. With setup in StayFi, this means that we are going to send the message through your PMS, and you won't see this messaging template in your property management software. So for instance, this is sent 7 days before arrival with a link to this homepage, and essentially by turning this collect data guest piece on right here, what the guests will see when they click on that link is this form, and then they can share this form with other people, although that doesn't happen that often, although some people do share, and then they get taken to the homepage that you set up with all of your property information. Not every PMS lets us trigger the message this way. So we always have instructions here for setup in host away, guesty, owner res, whatever your PMS is. If you click this setup in your PMS name, it will give you the instructions for how to send this message alongside all of your other pre-arrival messaging you're sending through your software. And that way it fits alongside the guest journey that you've designed. And this is a great way because we'll see here, for instance, like here is this field that's just in host away that you can now send not just one time, you can send it multiple times because with the homepage as well, many people use that for their upsells. So they can send this pre-arrival data collection form as many times as they like in their hostware or owner-res guesty, whatever it is software. We often have it just embedded as one of the fields that you can use. And then what's nice is in the guest list, you will see here under sources where the data came from. So we have like pre-arrival, Wi-Fi, PMS, and then we actually also show you if you've collected the same data from multiple sources. So we make sure we combine them into one guest record, right? So using pre-arrival and Wi-Fi together, you will get the most. And obviously, pre-arrival may be your only option in certain situations. And then obviously, once the guest gets to the home page, So we're sending them to the homepage, whether they do Wi-Fi, whether it's through the pre-arrival form, that's always the destination. This again is another key place to feature things about your brand because it's going to be all the resources you want to share with your guests. So make sure that you're leveraging the homepage to the max. I see some people, they just have a link to their website. You really want to make sure you have multiple links that are providing value to the guest. So just as a little reminder, how do you edit your home pages? As this is the destination for where we send guests with pre-arrival, where we send guests after logging into Wi-Fi. You can go here, edit homepage template. Homepage template is where you decide the links that you want to have, which buttons, all the buttons that you could have, you decide here. And then when you actually program this for each home, if you don't have certain buttons or certain homes and you leave them blank, those buttons just don't appear. But this is kind of like, hey, I want to have a guidebook. I'm going to use host code and Viator to try to earn more revenue. Viator, again, you get 8% of any things that people book through there, tours and activities. Once you've decided on all the buttons, you can go to the bulk editor, and this is where you place the links for all your buttons. And again, you can have an image here. For guidebook, we support both digital guidebook links and files. So if you have just a plain old PDF guidebook, which is fantastic, you can add that here as well. A book again link, if you're doing early check-in or late checkout, or you have a property management page, a host co-store, Viator attractions, basically anything you would like, make sure you place these resources here because, again, you want the guest while they're in the property to remember that you're not just an Airbnb host, that you have your own brand. And all of these services and recommendations are helping differentiate you from just a run-of-the-mill host, right? So you want to make sure that you're showing a robust experience once they're on the Wi-Fi or if they get that pre-arrival message. Here's an example of one of our customers that just uses pre-arrival data. And I wanted to, oh, actually, no, they don't just use that, but they use it in their condos. So like I mentioned before, they're in the situation of they have homes, they want to collect Wi-Fi data in homes, and they also have a lot of one-bedroom condos in buildings where you can't do the Wi-Fi product. So they're just using the pre-arrival guest data collection there. And so a third of their data comes from those forms. And they're using this journey where they put in the name, share with the travel party, and then that final homepage screen to start selling activities prior to the stay. So they're linking to the host code, they're linking to Viator, they're sharing that multiple times in advance through their PMS to the guest, and that way they're collecting data and then also doing upsells because a lot of those upsells, like early check-in, renting certain items, have to be done in advance. So they're really leveraging their ability to send those links in advance and also collect data in the process. Next topic is billboarding. This is a really big one, and there's ways to do this well, and there's also ways that you could run into trouble. So I really want to make sure that I give you the nuanced explanation of how to do this well. The idea here is thanks to StayFi and a lot of other people in our industry, more guests are becoming savvy about direct bookings. They are aware that if they can find this host or property manager and find their website, that they will be able to book the listing cheaply. And we need to make it easy for the guests to discover you if they're savvy and know how to do that. So the goal here is we want to make sure someone comes to your Airbnb listing that it's easy for them to find you directly. So number one thing is they need basically your direct booking website needs to appear when somebody Googles the name of your listing. So that is the number one thing to check right now is when I Google the name of my Airbnb listing, is my direct booking site appearing in the top section of Google? Number one thing here is to make sure that the channel names are the same. I've seen people who have different names on Airbnb and then different names on the direct booking website. That's not great because you want to make sure someone Google Southern Vine SIP plus stay combo that their listing appears. The other one here is you don't want to have really overly generic Airbnb listing names because then people are going to like discover they're not going to be able to find you. There's going to be like 3,000 bear cabins in Gatlinburg, and you're not going to be differentiated and you're not going to be found on Google. So key thing is that you have the same names, use the same photos, which most people do because of their PMS. And then there's some other things you can do, like branding your photos, which I'll show you in a second. And then you also just need to make sure you have a decent enough direct booking website that it's being indexed well on Google and that you're appearing in that first page of search results. Google really likes direct booking sites. They want Airbnb, Booking, and Expedia to pay them money. So they know they have huge budgets. So they kind of want to bury them in SEO and make sure they're spending, I know Booking spends like billions on Google search advertising, right? So Google really prefers direct booking websites, and you just want to make sure so that yours is easy for people to discover when they search your booking name. The other things that you can subtly do in your Airbnb booking Vrbo listing that doesn't violate any of their terms is there some really clever ones here, which I brought in from one of our customers. One, photoshopping your branding into TV screens. I love this one. So you can see here Branson Family Retreats in all of the TV screens across the properties in any images. Here, they kind of subtly introduce their brand. So they have this photo of this placard outside. This serves two purposes. One, we get the photo on the listing, but then also when somebody arrives at the property, this has like the manager info, how to contact them. So again, we're covering all those bases. They have this sign that they feature in the listing with their social media. So again, subtly, maybe hopefully encouraging someone to look up Branson Family Retreats on Instagram and then also discovering direct booking is possible. Also, in the Airbnb text itself, they are speaking from the brand voice. So don't hesitate to read our reviews from other Brands and Family Retreats homes. So they're making it clear in their text, which is totally compliant, that they're not just a solo listing operator, that they have a collection of properties and they're their own brand. So they're introducing the brand all over their OTA listing in photos, in the text. And then also they have this cool free attraction ticket giveaway. And then even down here in Meet Your Host, Nat and Tyann, fun fact, Missouri House and Branson Family Retreats. So hopefully someone is going to see this in Google, Missouri House or Branson Family Retreats, and then they're going to go right to the direct booking website and discover that you can book directly for less. So lots of fantastic tips here for how to make sure your OTA listing is subtly dropping hints in a compliant way that direct booking may be an option for you. This kind of takes this to the next level, which is not just in the listing itself, but we want to make sure that when guests are staying with you, that you are getting your brand in front of those guests at least 7 times. And I always say guests versus booker. So booker obviously is who's booked. Guests is the more universal group that we really want to market to. And kind of research shows that it takes at least 7 brand touch points before guests will recall your brand name. And we're probably even more in our space because guests are so used to saying, I booked an Airbnb. Like even guests that book on Vrbo or Booking say they booked an Airbnb. So it's going to take even more to break that kind of false perception that Airbnb is responsible for their experience, not that you are responsible for experience, which we know is the true reality of the situation. So you want to make sure that in your guest journey, so both what the booker will receive and what the other guests will receive, that your brand is getting in front of them at least 7 times. That would be the minimum. That can be anywhere from your pre-arrival messaging, making sure that's all of your, not just like the one that you can send to collect data, but any messaging you're sending from your property management software to all of your channel guests that you are speaking from your brand name, that you're including your brand name in the footer, like the Missouri House collection or whatever it happens to be. Then in the home, don't shy away from physical touch points that have your branding that can be relatively inexpensive, whether it's this Book Nola pillow or mugs that have your branding on it, welcome signs like you saw in that example with that house. You can put your brand in the home in a way that's tasteful and aligns with whatever your particular experience that you want to offer your guests is, but make sure that it's there and that people are seeing it multiple times. Then, if you use our Wi-Fi product, of course, guests are going to see it when they log into the Wi-Fi and when they go to the home page. And then I'll show you in a second, but you want to make sure that when we start triggering those email messages, that we're doing it even during the stay, because that will again reinforce in front of your guests multiple times that you are your own brand and you're not an Airbnb. Because one email or like one touch point, nobody's going to remember that. You got to nail this over and over again. so that guests remember who you are and why they should book direct, which is the next topic here. Or actually, the one after this. But um, so finally, you have the guests staying in your property. Hopefully, they've seen your brand multiple times. How can we make sure that they're going to see it many more times, both during the stay and after, in a way that adds value to the stay, which is important to mention, right? So, using automation via SafeFi for email marketing is another way to make sure you're adding value to the stay while reinforcing your brand. And StayFi does this really in two ways. We have these pre-built email automations that are very easy to set up. So we call them one-click campaigns. We can integrate data from your PMS. It's very simple. And the three main ones in our product, and the two that are most relevant here, are Wi-Fi welcome and post-departure. So if you haven't done it already, if you do use our email tool, if you don't, I recommend you take a look. But in email, we have these journeys that are down here that are super easy to set up. Wi-Fi welcome, post departure, definitely first two you want to do. Stay anniversary, also great. Wi-Fi welcome is an email that's sent to every single guest when they log into the Wi-Fi. Post departure will be sent on their day of departure. Both of those, again, really great emails. And of course, in Wi-Fi welcome, we're going to help you include a lot of relevant information about the stay. So when you build the Wi-Fi welcome email, which I don't think I can do in this account because it's already been set up, um, but I think I can show you what the end result will look like. Yes. So this is kind of like what the Wi-Fi welcome email will look like. Um, Down here, we have like these links for our homepage. So when you build this email through a one-click builder, we will automatically insert the relevant homepage link for that property that it's being sent to those guests. So that way you never need to worry like, hey, are these guests getting the right link? We will automatically insert the links. That's even true with like our book this property again link. We will pull that in so that it's correct here. And then down below here, we have that book direct and save messaging that you can include as well. And you can include a promo code here optionally if you want. And this is kind of referencing the last part of the presentation, which is you need to make the value proposition clear across all of these touch points, even if it's just subtly at the bottom about why the guest should book direct. The one that is the most common across all of our users is that booking directly is less expensive. That's pretty much universally true for all users. There also are other benefits people give, like early check-in, late checkout, all those kinds of things. But definitely you want to set up this email as well as the post-departure email, and then you're getting those additional guest touch points. Wi-Fi welcome also a great time to introduce your brand, who you are, as well as those resources, because if you remember, all the correspondence prior to this point has been with the booker. This is really your first brand touch point with the non-booking guests that are staying there. And they may not be aware of your amenities. They might be never heard of your brand. They might still be thinking they're staying in an Airbnb, right? So when you think about Wi-Fi welcome, just remember you're talking mostly to people that have had no communication with you or your brand prior to this point. And they probably, if the booker hasn't shared like the homepage or shared other information, they probably don't know a lot about you or the property. So just important to remember that we're starting to talk to a whole new audience here that we also need to make sure they know who you are and what you're all about. So Wi-Fi welcome, post departure, stay anniversary. Also, these emails, when we look at the data from our users, they have some of the highest open and click-through rate engagement. So you can see here, 8% of people click through this post-departure. This stay anniversary email has 72% open rate, which is wild. Stay anniversary is sent 10 months after their last stay, but you can also adjust that timing in the email tool. So it can be 9 months or 8 months, 11 months, whatever you would like. And again, both of these, they've included these promo codes, as you can see, which is a great way, not only to incentivize a booking. Promo codes are also a great way to measure the effectiveness of the campaign, because then you can see in your software how many people have redeemed this promo code to see how many bookings this email has helped drive. And then here's just another really nice example of a stay anniversary email. I love this one because the value proposition is not just booking directly is less. They've really hit up more of the experiential side. So if you are a more luxury provider and you don't want to be like so discount driven or make your cheapen your brand, let's say by saying it's cheaper, it's less expensive, whatever it is. Here you can see that they have experiences, they have a concierge, they help you book things during your stay. And so if you are offering a more luxury experience, direct booking is a great way to basically represent that you're going to get this much more premium experience when they book directly. And maybe obviously you might offer that experience to Airbnb guests, but Airbnb may not be the best platform for you to be able to articulate all of the benefits, luxury experience, amenities that you can provide during the stay. So once you've started that direct marketing with your guests, you can really hit all of those features that differentiate you from your competition or service offerings that you have that make the stay even more magical for guests and are going to make them want to come directly to you and not go through the OTA where they don't know what the experience from whoever they book with will be. And the last one, here are some more examples of really how to crystallize that value proposition. I will talk a little bit here about State Finder, which is our new product, if you're not familiar with it, that helps crystallize the savings message. So I'll show you that in a second. But regardless, you can see here with some other interesting examples. So Branson Family Retreats, they have like a direct booking benefit where you get tickets to different activities for booking a certain number of nights. That is a really cool way of offering value, experience from things that are very common in your destination that's outside of just it's cheaper. And obviously, when you offer other things of value, then you can capture more of that Airbnb fee instead of giving it all to your guests. So, in my experience, Branson Family Retreats is yes, it's cheaper to book directly, but they are capturing a lot of that value of the Airbnb fee instead of just giving it all to guests because they're basically spending those dollars elsewhere on things like tickets to local attractions. You can also think about like giving welcome gift, local credit, early check-in, late checkout, flexibility. Hotels do this a ton where you book directly and you get early check-in, late checkout if available, right? So there's things we can learn from our hotel friends as well about kind of how they're differentiating direct booking versus OTA booking outside of price. And then finally, there are some tools. This one from on the right here, where you can also booking insights. You can also show on your website like the proof when someone does a search on your website that what the direct price is versus the OTA prices. So that's just a nice way to kind of differentiate on your website that the value proposition you promised is true. And that brings me to the last part is if you are promising that direct booking is less expensive than your Airbnb listing, you need to go and check and validate that this is the case because I've seen a ton of people that have applied like different rules to their Airbnb bookings that don't come back to direct booking. So like length of stay discounts is a big one where suddenly at 5 nights, my Airbnb booking is now cheaper than my direct booking. So not only you're going to give 18% to Airbnb, you're also more expensive on your own website. So there are kind of like these discount features that I see people apply on Airbnb that then don't mirror back to their direct pricing. And so actually Stay Finder, which I'll show you in a second, is a cool way to go and check your pricing in different dates and see how it compares to OTAs in a really easy way. So if you're not familiar with Stay Finder, I'll give a little overview and then I'll kind of do a product demo and show you how to work it in StayFi. But the idea behind Stay Finder is you can go and search for a rental property, and then we will show you the direct price versus the Airbnb price. We are going to add Vrbo and Booking down the line, so we'll have multiple prices. And it is a meta search. So when somebody is interested in booking your property, they don't book on our website. When they click the property, they go directly to your website to book directly with you in whatever rules that you want to have for direct bookings. So we kind of just want to send them to your site so they can do the rest there. And of course, they might discover other properties there as well that they would want to book. And the really cool way that we are generating traffic for Stay Finder is if you want to basically become a Stay Finder member, What happens is when a guest uses the Wi-Fi in your property, in addition to opting into your email marketing, they also opt into Stayfinder's email marketing. And then we start independently sending emails to that guest to encourage them to go to Stayfinder and find someone to book directly with for a future stay. So basically, in exchange for your guest data, for us to be able to market to those folks, we will then promote your listings higher on the Stayfinder website. So if you opt in, allow us to also market to your guests, then you are what is called a preferred partner. And whenever somebody makes a search in your destination, all of the preferred partners will appear first in the search, which I will also show you in a second. So guests will be more likely to click through and discover you. So basically, in exchange for letting us market to your guests, now your properties are going to get in front of all the other guests that we are marketing to. And right now we're adding like around 50 to 100,000 people to the Stayfinder email marketing list every month since we launched. So right now we have like 150,000 people on that list. So it's growing very quickly. And so hopefully we can start helping guests discover a booking directly with you on the Stayfinder site. So yes, totally powered by the community. And then we also now have a Chrome extension where when someone goes to the Airbnb website and makes a search, we will show them the direct price as well right there. So let me just first show you how you make sure your properties are accurately represented in Stayfinder. Uh, Now there is the Stayfinder tab in Stayfi. Basically, if you opt in here, that's basically where we will basically append or add some extra terms to your splash page, which say, hey, you're opting into this manager's email marketing and Stayfinder's email marketing. And then under listings is how you make sure all your listings are correct. So depending on your PMS, and we might have all the data we need, we might not. So basically you go here and you just want to check, uh, are all the Airbnb listings here accurate? And then are all of the direct listing URLs accurate? And these need to be not the listing URL for your website. They need to be like the actual listing URL for each property. So it should be like your website / property one, property two, property three. And then once that's all accurate, you'll see a link here on the right, which will take you to your Stayfinder listing page. So I will just open Stayfinder quickly to just show you what it looks like from the guest side. So if I want to go to Nashville, let's say, and we'll pick some dates, I can add the guest count or not. So when I make the search, we're going to pull all of the listings that we have matched. So on the left here, you can see these are the preferred partners. They're the ones that have opted in to share the data with us. So you can see here, we're still working on fixing some of the branding. So when you don't have a brand, it shows this book direct button. And we'll be adding more things around branding in the future. But you can see all the listings here, as well as what is the Airbnb price and the direct price, and what savings you'll get. And so if you actually click on one of these, we will take you directly to the Book Direct website. And then, of course, you can click the Airbnb one and we will take you to the Airbnb website so you could actually check if this is true. You will also see there are examples I can show you right here of a property where direct pricing is more than Airbnb pricing. So definitely, if you go to your listing page, which you can, this is what the listing pages look like, and the links will be like in your Stayfinder dashboard. You can go to your listing page and like put in some different dates, and you can see like, I wonder for like a really long stay, if there's availability, like is my pricing better or worse? So you can go play with that and we can see that pricing if it's better or not. Um, but that's, and then of course, all the traffic we send to your website also has UTM codes. So if you're able to track that, you'll see if we're sending any booking traffic to your site. And then, yes, I would love as well if you guys look up, I will put, if you guys load our Chrome extension as well, which we just launched. I'd love for you guys to take a swing and use it. So if you go here, you can add this to your um, Chrome. And then when I make a search here, we can actually, when you have this Chrome extension installed, we'll actually go and find the direct booking price for listings that people have right here. As you can see here right now, for this home, we have like say 545. And then for each step of the booking funnel, that button will be here as well. So we basically add this button directly to the Airbnb site. all the way up to reserve. And when you click on this, it just takes you to the direct booking website to book there instead. So just another cool way to make sure guests are reminded that even when they're on the Airbnb website, that they can save by going and booking directly with you. Awesome. That brings me to the end of today. I feel like we covered a good amount of different topics. So I will see the questions. Please feel free to add any additional ones. Someone asked, do we have support for Google Mesh with StayFi Express yet? Unfortunately, not yet. The main two systems are still TP-Link Echo and um, Amazon Eero. I wish Google Mesh would work, but there are just technical reasons why we still cannot make that work, although we would love to. So we will continue to work on it, but I don't have any promise because we don't have yet a solution for how to make Google Mesh work, although we would love to have Express work for those devices as well. I answered the photo question. And then someone asked about finding the links to all of these sessions. So again, if you just Google YouTube StayFi, you can find our StayFi YouTube channel. And then down below, you will find, I think they're all even in a playlist, but you can find under here all of our marketing mastery sessions in this playlist. But basically, almost all the videos we've posted here, they're either the marketing mastery sessions, and then we also have some sessions like different roundtables we did on upselling. We have another roundtable this week on property operations, things like that. So we have those as well. Someone asked about, I'm curious about including the brand in OTA messaging and violating their rules. So the thing with OTA messaging is once a guest inquires with you on an OTA, you cannot divert them to book directly with you. So you cannot encourage the guest to book directly with you. You cannot solicit their email or phone number with the purpose of trying to divert the booking to be directly. The key thing is but you are not forbidden from including your brand in your messaging, right? So you're not telling the guests to book directly. You're not telling them it's cheaper to book directly. But if a guest happens to see your brand and Google you, that's totally fine. So that's kind of where the line is right now is you just cannot encourage the guest once they've started the transaction through the OTA to book directly with you. If they happen to find your brand because you had a sign in your property and a photo that had your branding on it and they Google you and book there, that's totally fine at this point. So that's just a really important thing is never tell guests that booking direct is cheaper in a direct way through OTA messaging if they happen to find your brand because your branding is in a photo, that's totally fine. That's just a really important distinction there. Someone asks, they have StayFi, but they don't have a direct website. What's the best thing to start with? Obviously, your PMS, depending on what you use, your software, will have a direct booking website of varying quality, some better than others, but they all have one. There are some really now nice tools, which I think we may have under partner promotions. So obviously there's your PMS website. Then there are some other ones like Crafted Stays I really like. Um, Crafted Stays is nice, and if you click this link, you'll see we have like an offer with them. Like they provide like basically, I don't remember, they work with a lot of different PMS. There's also Hudson Creative Studios, they have a similar product. Basically, instead of like getting a whole custom website built for you, which is more expensive, these tools just have more like a plug and play solution with your PMS. So you can, I would say, take a look at your property management software's tool, see if it meets your needs. If the property management software or website you really don't like or you don't find it very professional, I would say like Crafted Stays and Hudson Creative Studios have products that are relatively low lift and easy to use. And then there for larger property managers or folks that want a more sophisticated custom website, there's things like Realtek, IC&D, Boostly, things like that. Someone asks, what is the difference between preferred and verified? So yes, I should have mentioned that before. So preferred partner means they have opted in. So preferred partner appears first. Those are folks who have opted into StayFinder like membership and where we are leveraging their guest data to build the platform. Verified are just StayFi customers, but have not opted in to share the data. So the way it works is preferred is first. Then we still want to give people who are StayFi customers a benefit, so they are verified. And then after that are just any direct listing, direct booking partners, like a match that we can make outside of StayFi's world. Because in order for guests to kind of want to use this product, we need to make sure we have matches everywhere with as many properties as possible. So, preferred StayFi member, verified StayFi customer, not member, and then everybody else. You should be preferred like within a day, Shelly. If not, definitely email support. State Finder is still new. It's only been out for a month and a half. So there are still bugs, as I'm sure you would understand, as it's like a pretty much totally brand new product. So if you don't flip from verified to preferred, please email support at stayfi.com and we can definitely fix that for you. And maybe we'll find an issue about why that may not be happening, which would definitely be very helpful for our team. So I would appreciate if it doesn't, if you find it doesn't work, to please let us know so we can fix the issue. Uh, yes. Let me see. I will type the answer for you here. I'll put the link in here. So if you just Google Stay Finder Chrome extension, it will take you to this page. Once you add the Chrome extension, again, what will happen is whenever one of the listings from that we have in Stay Finder appears in an Airbnb search while the Chrome extension is on, then we will show you the direct price next to the Airbnb price and how much you will be saving by booking directly. Um, so you can see here, save 729. When I click here, it takes you directly to the direct booking website. So the Chrome extension just shows you the better pricing directly on the Airbnb website, which is definitely an awesome feature because if we can get somebody to download the Chrome extension and maybe they forget about Stay Finder, when they come back to this Airbnb website on their computer in Chrome, then they will see all the savings directly here on the site, which will hopefully again encourage them to go to your website to book directly. So once you download the Chrome extension, if you go to your Airbnb listing, you should see the direct pricing available there in your browser, which I think is pretty cool. Um, yeah, and of course, if you think it's great, please give us a 5-star rating in the Chrome store. That will help more people discover it. You can see here we just launched it, so still not many users yet, as we haven't even added it to the State Finder website yet. Um, awesome. Anyone else have a question? If not, we can wrap for today. Sweet. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining. I really appreciate all the questions. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to email support at stayfi.com. If you find any issues with StayFinder, your StayFinder listings, your StayFinder branding, how your StayFinder listings are represented, please let us know as we want to fix those as quickly as possible. And I really appreciate everyone here. So see you guys later. Thanks again.